are you from, Joseph?
South Shields.
I thought.
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
But let me be clear.
I enjoy cooking bacon and stop working with flour.
This is You're Welcome America, the podcast that explains what the bloody hell Brits are banging on about.
In every episode, we translate British pop culture for America.
And American pop culture for Britain.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Hi, babes. How are you doing?
I'm good. In stark contrast to the last episode, we're recording this in the AM.
Yes, very much. I am sober.
Well, instead of After Dark, what would this be called?
You're Welcome Sunrise Edition.
Oh, I can see the graphic already.
How have you been? How was New York? You've been away.
I have been away, and I'm actually very glad you've asked me that question, how was New York, because I've prepared a little something that I like to call the New York Report.
Gucci, Fendi, Prada, princess, purchasing them finer things. Men, they come a dime a dozen, just give me them diamond rings.
I mean, you can imagine how excited I was when I came up with the idea of that sting.
That's perfect.
I mean, I don't have that much to say, but I've got that.
Hey.
So I was in New York this week for work. On the plane, I watched the Sex and the City movie because it's either, on a plane it's either that or Prometheus for me.
Right. Great. Well, they're pretty much the same thing, right?
Same. Although I did skip the bit because I didn't want to feel low. I skipped the bit where Carrie gets stood up.
Yeah. No. I get that.
So, yeah, went from wedding prep to honeymoon.
It's like when I was younger, I used to, when I watched The Little Mermaid, I didn't like the movie after Under the Sea, so because I found it it was too tense and scary and emotional. Yeah. So I used to just watch it from the beginning up until Under the Sea, which actually on a recent rewatch, I mean, I found out that was, I think, maybe like 20 minutes into the movie. So yeah, there you go.
What, and then just rewind it and then put the tape back in?
Yeah, I liked all the songs just before and up to Under the Sea.
That's fine. That's fair. So in New York, I was channeling, obviously, Lauren Conrad in The Hills.
Of course.
Do it, you do it, you're doing it well.
So you need to explain one of our favorite Hills moments.
So it's one of the best episodes of The Hills, and for some reason it's a moment Ben and I have really fixated on, which is where Lauren had to go to New York to work for Marc Jacobs, I think, or go and do some work.
She's at Teen Vogue.
Oh yeah, she's at Teen Vogue, but then they send her to Marc Jacobs to do like a job, and there's just an opening to a scene where they play "Doing It Well" by J-Lo and show like Lauren running through the city, getting in a cab, and then there's a really awkward scene where she meets Marc Jacobs and she's alphabetizing.
Yeah, and she's wearing heels. The whole time she's wearing heels, and they're like, "Do you want something more appropriate to her?" She's like, "No."
Good old LC.
That was me. So I was in New York. I think it's so funny, like, as British people, when you think of New York, people are like, oh, I want to go to New York, particularly like in the summer or winter. Those are the 2 worst seasons in New York. It is
unbearable.
So unbearably hot. It stinks of garbage, and it's just like muggy and humid and horrible. And to top it all off,
Muggy.
To top it all off, I was staying in Times Square in a hotel above the Hershey's store.
Oh. I mean, we don't, it's not hard to think of the London equivalent of that, which would it be the W Hotel above the M&M store?
Yeah, the M&M experience.
Just a little shout out to CLC, call listener Charlie. She, in her previous job, her office was opposite the M&M store, and she used to look out a window and see a person dressed as an M&M outside the store, and it filled her with rage. She was furious.
I can imagine, like, after a hard day, Charlie just going up and like beating them up.
Yeah, that's exactly what
pushing over the M&M. If you pushed over someone dressed as an M&M, they wouldn't be able to get back up.
Yeah, like a beetle.
Yeah. So even though I'm complaining about staying in Times Square, the hotel was actually bizarrely so nice.
Oh, right.
So it was great. So yeah, I was there just living my dream, living and working in Times Square. Whenever I go to New York, you always remember there's that weird energy in New York where everyone is just insane.
Yes, and loud.
And it turns me into a crazy person. Like I was walking down the street just storming and just pushing people out the way and glaring, and if anyone dared look or talk to me, I'd be like, ah!
Whilst Labels and Love by Fergie was playing in your head.
Exactly.
Shopping for labels, shopping for love.
Or like Click Flash by Sierra.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
So yeah, it's weird. It has a I always think New York has a very similar energy to London, even more crazy. But and then we should also point out the very bitter rivalry between LA and New York.
Yes.
Because whenever I go to work or whenever I see people in the New York office of the company I'm at, there's always like, they're always like, no, I don't really like LA. I don't know how you deal with it. And we're always like, no, I don't really like New York. Don't know how you deal with it. And it's just that ongoing rivalry.
I mean, yeah, it's two cities filled with psychopaths. It's just different kind of psychopaths,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yeah, the main thing actually about my trip to New York was the plane on the way back.
Oh.
Okay. So I was sitting on the plane and the guy behind me was blowing his nose a lot. And I was
Right.
like, oh no, I'm beside I'm near someone with the plague.
And you're going to get ill from a plane as
gonna,
well.
Gonna get
A
ill.
little tube of germs.
He kept on going up to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
To go to the restroom, the washroom, whatever we want to call it. So that meant the two people beside him having to stand up and get out. And he'd go. And he went like twice.
Yeah.
3 times. I was like, what? This is a 5-hour flight.
Right.
Okay. More and more sniffing. 4 times he went, then 5 times.
Okay.
Oh, he was doing coke.
Oh, my
So the
God.
guy behind me in the plane was going to the bathroom repeatedly to do coke. More and more sniffing going on.
Oh my God.
He then, halfway through the flight, got out his laptop, put it down, and started bashing away it furiously, clearly thinking he'd had like a genius cokey idea.
I've got to write this down.
Exactly. So my seat was just shaking. And then when we landed, we were all like, standing up ready to like walk out. And I was looking at the two people sitting beside him who were just rolling their eyes.
Oh my God.
And he, by that point, had done so much coke. He had his headphones in, his sunglasses on, and he was just bouncing around in his chair to music and like furiously texting someone. We landed at like 10 p.m. at night.
As someone with a fear of flying, I cannot think of a worse thing to do than to take a cocaine on an aeroplane.
Shitloads of coke and sit in the window seat.
Yeah. Also, yeah, as someone who hates flying and also as someone who has a very small bladder and has to go to the bathroom a lot, I haven't sat in a window seat for years. I wouldn't do that to people. I take an aisle seat every time. I know what I'm doing.
You wouldn't do it to yourself. You wouldn't do it to other
You're
people.
right. You're right.
So that was my New York report. That was that. Oh, one other thing I did want to mention is that I do appreciate that I'm very lucky that I get to go to New York and travel and do these amazing things for work. And there was a moment where we were working all day in the office, and afterwards the New York office had arranged like rooftop drinks for us.
Ooh.
So we go to like a rooftop overlooking Manhattan with the sun's going down, we're having drinks. I'm like, oh my God, how lucky am I? Meanwhile, the next morning I wake up, I get a text from my cleaner. Again, how lucky am I to have a cleaner? Text from the cleaner, a picture of what looks like rat poo on my cooker.
Rat poo on my cooker. That sounds like a country song.
Yeah, country song or punk group. So, life's all about the balance. How are you?
I'm good. You've missed a couple of things since you were gone. First of all, I dance cheated on you and went to our dance class without you. And guess who was there?
Give me a clue. Wait, someone famous?
Yes. I think you might have even told me that you've seen this person in the class before.
Wait a minute. Robin Anton.
You are correct. Pussycat Doll founder, terrifying faced Robin Anton was there. I might cut that just in case.
Here's the thing about Robin Anton. When I've seen her there before, she's not an amazing dancer.
I will tell you something. At one point in the class, there was one moment where she was standing right next to me doing the dance, and I got the move better than her. Just once, because I'm not very good at that dance class, but just once I got the move better and quicker than her, and I felt real pleased with myself.
Better and quicker than Robin Anton. Okay, we should probably talk about any comments or questions that we've had this week. As ever, if you want to get in touch, do go to our Instagram account at YouAreWelcomeAmerica and leave us a comment or question. So let's talk about any feedback that we've had. Okay, so first up, I just wanted to say we talked about the US equivalent of, was it Danny Minogue?
It was Danny Minogue, yeah.
Okay, so Niall O'Driscoll in
Yep.
London got in touch, and I have to say, he's done it. So who did we say there was the US equivalent of Danny Minogue?
Luke Hemsworth.
Luke Hemsworth. I mean, a little off track. But Niall O'Driscoll in London said that the US equivalent of Danny Minogue is quite clearly Ashley Simpson.
Yep. I will actually say Michael also got in touch separately with me and told me it was Ashley Simpson.
Well,
so
there you go.
That's multiple sources that have corrected us on that. And I feel, do you know what? I don't feel embarrassed. Whatever.
I feel like we've started a conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Started a discussion.
Okay, I think that's it for feedback. As ever, get in touch on Instagram. Let's get on with the show.
Let's do it.
This is You're Welcome America, the podcast that translates British pop culture for America and American pop culture for Britain. In every episode, we cover 2 topics, one American, one British. Fraser, you're up first.
Okay, so I'm going to start my topic with just a little intro impression for you, if you're ready. Welcome to Jurassic Park. No, that was my terrible impression of... I was about to call him Richard Hammond. That's Richard Hammond from Top Gear. John Hammond.
Was it
Top Gear's for another day.
Was
Never.
it better or worse than my impression of Katie Price in the last episode?
I think it was much, much worse, and also much worse than your impression of Jimmy Cranky, which was great.
Well, that's my tops.
So the reason I was doing my terrible impression of John Hammond there is because the Jurassic World ride has just opened up at Universal Studios. And it made me think Universal Studios is a great topic for discussion, mainly because I had never been there before I moved here, and I went a few months ago and experienced it myself for the first time. And oh, mama, it's a lot to deal with.
It's crazy because I feel like you love theme parks
I do.
and all that stuff, and I cannot believe that was your first time.
I know. On all the visits I've been here before, we just never kind of got round to it. It just never kind of worked out. And yeah, it was great. It was very fun, but it was also a lot. I thought I'd just give a very brief history about Universal. I don't want to get too bogged down in it because there's a lot of facts. But basically, Universal is a working movie and TV studio. And right at the beginning of it opening in 1915, Universal, the guy that ran Universal decided to open a tour to the public. And according to Wikipedia, admission was just 5 cents, and it also included a boxed lunch with chicken, which I really enjoyed the idea of people traipsing around like a 1915 movie studio eating a box of chicken. And then basically, as the actual working movie and TV studio kind of grew, apparently around the 60s, they reintroduced the idea of a studio tour. So they had a tour where you could actually go and look in the dressing room walkthroughs and looks at actual productions and like events that were happening there. And then basically over the years, that kind of turned into Universal as a theme park. And basically what they had to do is, because the tours were interrupting real movies being shot, they had to kind of almost turn it into its own attraction around in the kind of 60s. That's kind of the core of the Universal Studios theme park, is the studio tour. So over the years, there's like, it kind of built into this theme park, and there's lots of different rides. I won't go into too much of the history of all the rides because there's kind of too much, but I will say there's some fun facts about Universal Studios just over the years. I'm going to give you just these ones quickly.
Okay.
Did you know that the Universal Studios backlot has been damaged by fire 9 times throughout its history? Wow. And then this is I mean, it's not funny, but I don't know why this is my favorite, but in 2008 there was a fire on the backlot of Universal, and lots of kind of archived digital films and videos were destroyed. And according to Wikipedia, for some reason, these are the list of things that were destroyed, and it really made me laugh, including the films Knocked Up, Atonement, Law and Order, The Office, Miami Vice, and CBS's I Love You, Lucy. A real eclectic display. I mean, I Love You, Lucy one's kind of the saddest one because it's like a real show, but the idea of them losing episodes of Law and Order really makes me laugh. And like Atonement, I think we'll be fine.
I also like the idea of there being fires in the back lot and like someone being in the studio tram turn thinking it's part of the attraction.
Yes,
like
exactly.
That's like my ideal.
Very realistic fire effects.
As Michael knows out there, my favorite theme of a theme park ride is "This wasn't supposed to happen."
Oh, okay. Do you know what? You've brought me perfectly into it. Let's just talk about the studio tour as part of Universal Studios, because you've brought us there already. So famously, there's this studio tour, which is technically a ride at Universal. So you line up, you get on a little tram, that's kind of basically a car that's been redesigned to look like a tram, and it drives you around Universal Studios, which I put in inverted commas. And it's basically drives you
quotation
around...
Quotation marks.
Thank you very much. It basically drives you around various different, sets that aren't really in production, and then lots of different kind of staged areas where different things happen. And that's where a lot of this shouldn't be happening action
this wasn't
happens.
supposed to happen.
My favorite one is you get driven into kind of like a studio like warehouse, and the doors close behind you, and then there's like a New York subway set. Do you remember that one? It's like the disaster set. That's my favorite one. You get the sirens start going off, and I think then like basically then there's like fire effects, sparks, then like water floods in from the sides, and you think you're going to get engulfed by water. It's very fun. Despite the fact that when we were in there, I could see water on the floor and I knew that water was going to happen. I still did like full mum/auntie noises. Ooh! I did mum and auntie noises throughout the whole of Universal.
One of my favorite things is I was working at NBC Universal on the lot. And so every day I would go to work and the tram would just like pass you. So people would like take photographs of me like walking to go get a coffee.
This is what something I was going to mention is what I think people don't understand is if you work for Universal on any of their NBC Universal shows, which are like normal TV shows, it's not like you're working on a movie.
Yeah.
That you do go to work on that lot. So
Yeah.
I went for an interview there, and I had the same thing where I was being driven in a golf cart to my interview, and the studio tour went past, and people were like gawping at me, and I was like, oh God, this is embarrassing. I felt embarrassed. I was like, I'm really sorry you have to see me.
One other amazing perk if you work there is the what we would say is cafeteria, translation commissary.
Oh, yeah, sounds like a prison.
So weird. Anyway, the commissary on the lot, when you go, I was working there for months, I didn't notice, but one day I walked in, on the right-hand side, there's a display of like Oscars and stuff like that, but they have the bottle of poison from Death Becomes Her on display.
That is amazing.
I know!
That is amazing.
So cool.
Oh, we need to do like a screening of Death Becomes Her soon because it's
We'll add that to the lengthy list.
this is just personal admin.
Now a warning. Now a warning?
Did I also ever tell you how when I worked there, we could find a way to sneak into the theme park?
Yes.
So I just need to quickly tell that. So one day when I was working there, shout out to Emily, we both worked out a way to like sneak in. It's all just about confidence. You just go through like a back door into the theme park because the theme park section's sort of separated off.
Yeah.
And we went on the Harry Potter rides.
Yep.
And then Emily didn't want to get wet, but I went on the Jurassic Park ride by myself. And then to dry off, I went on the Mummy ride. And then went back to work.
I love it. Nothing like just a blast on a roller coaster on your lunch break.
Yeah.
And the one of the iconic things on the studio tour is the Jaws set. That's my favorite.
Is that because there is a Universal Studios in Florida, which is like the really big theme parky one where nothing's filmed.
The one in Florida, they do like that full like fake something's gone wrong show with Jaws. But the Universal Hollywood one, it just has a very mini little Jaws set. You're at like the Cove, and you're just driving past, and then you start seeing these things in the water being like bumped, like something's underneath it, and then this rickety shark comes up next to you. Again, knew it was coming, still made my auntie and mum noises. And then my favorite part of the tour was you drive past the house from Psycho, and there's this poor actor who every single time a studio tour must come past, he has to walk out of the house dressed as Anthony Perkins in Psycho with holding a knife, and he just walks out and he very very slowly starts following you in your little kind of cart, and everyone was like screaming. It was very funny. My favorite part of the studio tour is a Fast and Furious experience where you get driven into the studio kind of warehouse, the doors close behind you, and then there's this kind of almost like a hologram display of the Fast and Furious characters with a little plot line, and then you basically get driven and stuff happens around you. You're completely static, but there's lots of effects happening around you that make you feel, and like things shaking, and it makes you feel like you're in the Fast and the Furious. But my favorite part is the kind of holographic bit at the beginning. It's like a conversation, and there's it's meant to be like in a nightclub, but they have like 5 kind of sexy girls dancing, but it's in this huge like warehouse space, and they're just they're doing some real, I'm going to do the moves for you even though it's a visual medium, real lackluster dance moves like this. That was one of my favorite parts. Outside of the studio tour, you mentioned a couple of the rides just when you were talking. The thing that I think people don't realize about Universal is it's actually a very small theme park.
It's pretty shit,
and
which is also why I like it.
Yes, and the rides are not roller coasters. The Mummy is a roller coaster.
Oh yeah,
and
every time someone rides the Mummy ride, Brendan Fraser gets the money.
just a little like kind of $1 in his bank account.
Yeah.
But not Rachel Weisz or John Hannah.
Oh no, they did.
Or Donna Eyre, who was in The Mummy Returns. She has a speaking part in The Mummy Returns.
Donna Eyre does the queue.
She's the one checking if you're secured into the ride.
Exactly.
Yeah, so actually, there's actually only a couple of like real roller coasters in Universal, which I think people don't realize. Especially there's the Mummy one, which is actually pretty fun, and then there's one in the Harry Potter section, which actually is kind of not that great. It's kind of more for kids.
It's all most of them all have like screens.
Yes,
it's all very
it's
like
it's like a simulator. Everything's almost like simulator based or screen based. So when I went to Universal, I left and I had what can only be described as severe motion sickness. Yeah. And it was all because my body hadn't traveled, but my eyes, my eyes and my senses, they had traveled lots of distances. So the worst being the Simpsons ride. Have you been on the Simpsons ride?
Not for years, but yes.
But in the Simpsons ride, you're static. You sit there completely still, but just this huge screen in front of you is flying around in 3D. And there was a couple of moments where I just had to close my eyes. And on the Minions ride, I had to close my eyes because I felt physically sick. But I wasn't moving. You're just sitting in one spot. It's very strange.
What I found that when you are moving in this one, but the Harry Potter ride, I was just like,
oh, the Harry Potter one, I felt awful during that one. So my favourite part of Universal Studios is definitely the Harry Potter section, because the one thing I enjoy in a theme park is heavy theming.
Yeah.
And the Harry Potter section is very, very heavily themed, but in a very successful way. So not only is there kind of the castle when you walk into it, like a scaled down version of the castle, which I think actually does look really impressive. They've got all of the kind of small details when you're walking around are really great. If you have a wand, you can like stand in a certain spot and point your wand, and it makes things in the shop windows move around. It's very satisfying for someone who loves theme park theming so much.
But do you like Harry Potter?
That was going to be my next question. I do like Harry Potter. I'm not like a fanatical person about it, but I was thinking, as I was going to talk about Harry Potter today, I was thinking about how funny it is that I know for a fact that you must hate Harry Potter and all of the theming of it.
Well, yes. Much like how I have never been to a Greg's or a Wetherspoons or what was my other most recent one?
I can't
remember. Eaten a pasty? I don't know. No, I have eaten a pasty once. Didn't like it. I have never read or watched Harry Potter.
Well,
it just doesn't, magic doesn't really appeal to me.
Yeah,
and here's my issue with the Harry Potter land. You go and it's all these like a lot of people like, oh look, a castle. When you're from Scotland, let me tell you, we have castles a go. Like every inch of Scotland has like some sort of castle. So I was like, yeah, okay, there's a castle.
I mean, even though it's never mentioned in the books, I do feel like the Hogwarts castle is probably in Scotland because it is always raining there.
Oh, well, actually, they filmed lots of Harry Potter in Scotland, so yeah.
But it made me laugh when I was kind of prepping for this, because I was kind of thinking about how there's this very kind of, it is technically very basic to be into Harry Potter and to know all that, but whatever, I love it. And in Harry Potter, in the books, everyone is sorted into a different house at Hogwarts.
Sure are.
And it made me laugh thinking about the fact that there's a test you can do online, like it's the Pottermore kind of test, where you officially get sorted into houses. And I really wanted to make you do it for this podcast, but it takes too long. But I just feel like I don't need to do it because it's so obvious that you'd be in Slytherin.
I don't fully know what that means, but just the word Slytherin doesn't sound great.
Yeah, you basically...
What am I?
She divided them up into like 4 kind of obvious categories. There's Gryffindor, where all the kind of main characters are in, which is like heroic, brave. There's
So I'm not a main character.
Hold on. There's Ravenclaw, which is like intelligent, Hufflepuff, which is everybody else, and Slytherin, which is the evil people, all of the bad guys.
Okay.
So they're just as important, but they're evil. I wanted to ask you, out of those 4 categories, when I did the test, what did you think that I got sorted into?
I think you got sorted into the one that everyone else is in.
Well, I take that insult actually quite personally, as always, much like when you used to make me be Maya in Lady Marmalade. So actually...
Forever Maya.
What I will tell you is I got also sorted into Slytherin.
Oh!
But I like to think of it that in the world of Harry Potter, there's all of the evil villains in Slytherin, and then there's just a few of the others. That would be me. So there'd be the evil characters in Slytherin, like bullying Harry Potter and doing all their dark magic, and I'm just there.
Look,
I'm just taking a lesson.
Can we... Well, you filled out the form wrong and you ended up in Slytherin.
I feel like it would be like in the final big action set piece of Harry Potter where they're all defending the castle. I just would have gone home.
Right, I'm V happy to be in Slytherin, I'm going to say. Have you ever been on Tinder or Tinder, and someone has written in their bio like Gryffindor or anything like that?
Listen, there's so many things in Tinder bios I cannot abide. A Harry Potter reference, yes. Someone calling themselves a dog dad, that makes me physically sick. Anyone that says that they love traveling, I'm like, everyone loves traveling.
Love to laugh.
Yeah. Everyone loves going on holiday. Everyone loves going on vacation. It's not a thing. It doesn't make you an individual. Oh, what? You've been to Thailand and you bought those stupid giant fisherman pants. I don't care.
You may...
Oh, and the word foodie. Fuck
you may
off.
know this already, but Frazer is single. Fuck off. I'm sorry. Look, I'm in the house of Slytherin. This is the kind of shit I say.
That's true.
Do I come across as like a real horrible asshole and snob in this podcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're keeping on theme. It's very Slytherin of you. So one of my favourite elements of the Harry Potter world is in the books there's a pub called the Three Broomsticks, and in Universal they have a Three Broomsticks pub where you can go and eat and drink. The menu is hilarious and also weirdly not that bad. I'm just going to read you some of the dishes you can get in there. Fish and chips. Well, really makes me worry when American people try to do fish and chips.
Oh, those skinny chips they do, like a fry, but they're calling it a chip. No.
Shepherd's pie. I had that when I was there. It was actually very nice, their shepherd's pie.
I mean, there's nothing I want more on a hot day when I'm at Universal Studios, which is located in the valley, than a shepherd's pie.
A hot mashed potato and a hot minced beef.
Oh yeah, just to really warm you up after being out in the sun all day.
Beef pasties, something you've only had one of. I think so far, though, all those things actually do sound British. This is where things start to go really off-piste. Rotisserie smoked chicken platter.
Oh, no.
Spare ribs platter.
Nope.
And the chicken and ribs platter. Famously nothing more British than heading into the Three Broomsticks in Hogsmeade and having chicken and ribs.
Chicken and ribs platter.
And a smoked turkey leg.
I would love it if they just put in like an Indian dish, like a chicken tikka masala. It would have been like, yeah, you would get that at a pub in England.
Completely. So to be honest, there's so much about Universal, but I kind of felt like we just talked about all the things we wanted to talk about. One of my favorite things that I discovered, so you know that I love theme parks, and I actually know that there's some certain things that you love about theme parks, because we discovered a mutual love. I once went round to Ben's when he was feeling a bit sick in London, or a bit ill, and I went round to his and discovered that, much like me, Ben likes to go on YouTube and go on roller coaster rides on YouTube. It was one of the greatest discoveries of our friendship.
I find it so soothing.
Me too. It's one of my favourite things. I urge anyone that's never done it to go onto YouTube and just type in different roller coasters that you could ride. You know, we basically that day we went on the Jurassic Park ride at Universal, didn't we? And really enjoyed that. I've gone around the world.
I tell you what, the Tron ride in Disneyland Shanghai, what a treat. I want to just go back to the Jurassic Park ride for a second, because it obviously has changed recently. But that, for a while, I think it still is, it was the most expensive theme park ride in history. I think it cost like $60 million or something. But when I was working
money well spent.
When I was working at NBC Universal, there was a guy in line to get a coffee one day, and he was wearing a t-shirt that said something along the lines of like Jurassic Park Flume Replacement Team 2008. Like they were commemorating and celebrating the fact that they repaired the slide in Jurassic Park.
That's like that time I told you I saw that woman in the supermarket and she was wearing like a crew jacket and it just said The Purge on it. I was like, wow, what a thing to be proud of. So actually kind of trying to find UK equivalents of theme parks, I find it to be kind of pretty almost too easy, because you can just find the equivalent to it basically. So again, I think I'm probably going to do a combo for this one. I would say that in my opinion, the UK equivalent of Universal Studios is actually a combo of Thorpe Park and the Harry Potter studio tour in North London.
Oh, wait. I was going to be very firm and strong with Alton Towers.
See,
because but here's the thing. Here's why.
Okay.
Everyone in the US knows what Universal Studios is and goes to it. I grew up in Scotland, had never heard of Thorpe Park, but everyone knew Alton Towers.
Do you know what? You're making a very good point there, and I do you know what? I will secede one half of that, and I will give you that the UK equivalent of Universal Studios is Alton Towers and the Harry Potter studio tour in Watford.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. I love that it's in Watford. It really makes me laugh. This is Your Welcome America. We're back, and it's time for Ben's topic. What do you got for me, babes?
Okay, so this week I am going to be talking about Love Island. Set sail, we're going to the heterosexual hell that is Love Island. So, okay, I feel like a lot of Americans have heard about Love Island, particularly because there's now a US version.
Yeah.
But still, people keep on sort of referring back to the UK version of it. So just to give you a bit of history, Love Island was a TV show, well, originally in 2005 and 2006 in the UK, and it had celebrities in it.
Yes, it did.
Did a couple of seasons. Any notable celebs in that? I feel like Callum Best must have been in there.
I think Callum Best was in it. It also launched the very short-term career of Paul Danan.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Paul Danan? Oof. Yeah. Paul Danan, what a man.
So that's what
Hang
it was.
On. Who's the US equivalent of Paul Danan? Someone who's gone insane in a short term on reality TV.
Oh, wait. What about like Ryan Lochte?
Possibly. He's almost too skilled. I would actually say maybe someone like Jax from Vanderpump Rules.
That's good. Yeah, that's very good. Okay, you're welcome. So that's what it was originally in the UK, and then it sort of they stopped it, and then the show came back in 2015 on a network called ITV2, which is one of the sort of cable networks. It's very Bravo or MTV like,
Yes,
but it's not one of the main networks. Not one of the main
they get
channels.
they hoover up all of the Bravo like Housewives stuff,
Yeah.
especially.
So that's kind of the feel of that channel on ITV2. And it starts, so they brought back Love Island in 2015, but they brought it back just with civilians.
Yep.
And it has been like a cultural touch point, hit, and sensation.
Phenomenon.
Phenomenon. The way it works is now, well, I'm going to be very loose with my description of how it works, much like the producers of the show.
Loose Women, like our Loose Women special that's coming up.
It's your Monday Loose Women Live with Stacey Solomon, Denise Van Houten, Holly Nolan, and me, Ruth Langsford.
Coming soon. The way Love Island works is you have single guys and single girls.
Mm-hmm.
They're all straight, of course. Well, no, actually, there was a bisexual person in there once. Well done, ITV2. And the way it works is as soon as the show starts, they couple up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always someone who isn't in a couple. But you can recouple. And basically the idea is...
I know that feeling.
Yeah. And then if you're not in a couple, you get dumped and you get taken off the show. So Fraser, if you just want to leave,
Okay, cool. I'll see you maybe never. Bye. Okay, bye.
and then until finally you have fewer and fewer because they keep on bringing in more people, so the balance of guys and girls is always off. And then so you keep on eliminating people, and then finally you get down to 3 couples, and the public vote for their favorite. Along the way on this journey, they play games and all kinds of stuff happens. So it's very loose.
It's very low stakes, I would say.
Well,
very low stakes. And
yeah.
very kind of unquantifiable as to how you succeed at it.
Oh, baffling. So baffling. We should also note that it's on 5 nights a week.
Yep.
It's relentless.
Yep.
Always on in the summer. Some very other key points. The voiceover is very important.
Yes.
It's a comedian called Ian Sterling, who's Scottish, much more Scottish than me. And he...
It's very attractive.
Is he?
I find him very attractive.
What?
He looks like if you stopped Calvin Harris halfway to his current makeover.
Okay.
And put glasses on him.
Oh, no, that's fair. That works well. The thing that's interesting about him is that the narration he does, the voiceover he does in the show. So if I were doing it right now, I would look at Fraser's wearing like a tank top right now. It would be like, Fraser's entered the villa. He's not wearing sleeves. Okay, then. Like, everything's just, like, it's taking the piss or joking.
He's very snarky.
Very snarky. So that drives the show. Meanwhile, there is a host of the show, Caroline Flack.
Oh, yeah.
Flackers.
The Flackers.
The Flackers. So she's been hosting and presenting in the UK for a while. Never first choice.
As long as I can remember.
And she sort of, with this show, has become... Like, this show has made her.
Yeah.
So much so she had her own autobiography. What's the name of that autobiography?
I actually have no idea.
Storm in a D Cup.
Why wasn't it like taking some flack?
Because we weren't there.
Oh my god, what a fucking missed opportunity.
It was really... Have you ever worked with Caroline Flack?
No, I have met her once. She's really nice.
Oh. What was interesting is last year, so she sort of worked in the show because it worked well with her, because she gets lots of press when she goes and nights out in the real world.
Yeah.
Not the TV show, in the actual real world. So that whole tabloid thing feeds into the show.
Yes.
So she was single for a long time.
Yes.
Then she got engaged. So this all happened last year.
Yes.
So the top of last year's series, like the first episode, she's there, she's like, "Hi girls," and she's got a very like smoker's raspy voice. She
does.
"Hi girls, welcome to Love Island," like that. Whatever. Not my finest.
Not as good as your Jimmy
Not as
Cranky.
good as Jimmy Cranky. Jimmy Cranky should host this show.
Jimmy Cranky's Love Island.
Welcome to the island. Welcome, Islanders.
But at the top of the season last year, she greets everyone and she's meeting all the girls and they're all chatting. We're like, "Oh, you're all here to find love." And they're all sitting in a circle. And then one of them goes like, "All right, Caroline, show us your ring." And like she puts over like shows the engagement ring, and all the girls are like, "Woo!" But then halfway through the season, she called off her engagement. Ooh. It's really like, ooh.
Bit too real. She was engaged to an Apprentice contestant.
Oh, wow.
Because I worked on that season of The Apprentice with that guy on it that she got engaged to.
What was he like?
Andrew Brady.
The fact that Fraser is giving me wide eyes and not speaking suggests that we cannot talk about that subject. So we'll move on. Okay. So Caroline Flack, she's a big, important part of the show. My theory with why this show is a big hit in the UK
Yep.
is that it happens every summer.
Yep.
And it's in where is it, in Tenerife or somewhere like that.
Tenerife, Mallorca, Ibiza, all of them.
Mallorca, it's one of them.
Mallorca.
And it's on every night. You basically, the weather in the UK most of the time, and in the summer is usually shit. You
Yeah.
can't depend on good weather. If every night in the summer you get to tune in for an hour to watch attractive people on vacation
Yeah.
getting it on, that is a joy.
Yes.
And it harks back to the triumphant big days of Big Brother in the UK.
Yes.
So Big Brother was the biggest show in the UK, much bigger than Survivor or anything else.
Yeah.
And the best seasons of it were the ones that always happened in the summer, but the best seasons were when we had nice weather
Yep.
and there was a romance.
Yep.
So basically Love Island has taken the nice weather, put it in Mallorca, so we definitely get it,
Yep.
and it's all about finding partners. So it's all about romance.
And I will say, it's in the way that American Big Brother was all about tactics, and there was so much more to the actual kind of the mechanics of the game of Big Brother. Big Brother in the UK is quite literally a popularity contest. You just have to be the most popular person and you win the show. And I'd say it's almost the same thing for Love Island. They do challenges, they do games, but really, essentially, it boils down to a popularity contest. You just have to be like someone that the public likes and you win.
Totally. I think what's also important is that because this show started off and is still on ITV2, it's not one of the main networks. It's like a bit racier and it's more funny, it's
Yeah.
more silly and ridiculous, and that really appeals to people. Whereas the US version is on CBS, it's a earlier time slot.
Yeah.
I've watched it. It's very similar, but it doesn't have that silly, very very cheeky edge to
it's not.
it.
They can't. It's a lot harder to do irreverent things here, I think.
Totally, and I think a lot of my friends in the US who watch the UK version, they also love all the accents.
Yeah.
all the
Oh, Lord.
I mean, you get every regional accent in the show, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
What do you think about Brexit?
What's that? Like,
Where we're leaving the European Union.
I seriously don't have a
So, like,
clue.
it was to leave the EU, so we wouldn't be part of Europe.
EU,
Which
yeah,
would
yeah,
mean like
like that.
welfare and like things we trade with would be cut down.
So does that mean we won't have any trees?
Cheese?
Trees?
Oh.
No,
Yeah.
that's got nothing to do with it, babe. That's weather.
trees? What are you talking
No,
about?
we're just not in the European Union. We're still classed as like being in Europe.
Doesn't it mean it would be harder to like go to like Spain and stuff?
So it'll be harder to go on holidays?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I love my holidays.
Yeah.
Something you did point out was there are challenges on
Yeah.
Love Island. Now, I was trying to work out how to best describe these. I just went into YouTube and typed in Love Island challenge. I'm going to read out what some of them are.
Okay.
Okay. Villa games. Who can pole dance the best? Prime example. Challenge. Eden is crowned best bod of the villa. Sexy beer pong. The Islanders play a serious game of mouth to mouth. And then finally,
A serious game of mouth to mouth.
who can balloon thrust the best? So, I mean, these are the kind of challenges we're getting. It's like being on a bachelorette party.
Yes, it's very similar to, which is something we should talk about at some point. It's very similar to being on a 18 to 30s holiday.
Oh, yeah. Totally with like a club rep.
Yes.
I tell you what, in my office when I tried to explain when they were talking about the Lindsay Lohan show, and everyone who worked in the bar in that show were called like ambassadors.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you have the phrase club rep here? Blew everyone's minds.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's a story for another time.
Yeah, I can't wait to explain club reps to people.
So the show just finished off this week. Do you watch it, by the way?
No, so let me tell you why I've never watched Love Island in the UK. I love, as you know, I love reality TV, like love it. But my problem with Love Island is that it's not trashy enough.
Oh.
On paper it seems trashy, but actually in terms of those kind of shows about young people and sexy people, it's actually like very restrained. Have you ever seen X on the Beach? Oof. Now, X on the Beach is exactly what I want out of reality TV. It's a whole villa of young, sexy people, just like Love Island, but they bring in their exes, and they keep bringing in exes and different combinations of exes. Yeah. There's drinking, there's fights, there's almost full sex on camera, there's night vision sex, there's completely bare naked people, there's like guys like erections, like barely masked. It's perfect.
Well, I think also in the UK, the show Love Island has become such a phenomenon. I think they're trying to tone it down to attract more and more viewers. For example, when I was back in the UK earlier this year, my family watched it.
Yeah.
So we would sit down, and it would be my cousin, her husband, and then their kids who are aged from 14 to 18.
Yeah.
We all sat and watched it as a family. I was like, what is going on? And my cousin pointed out to me, she was like, look, if we all watch it together, it gives us something to talk about, which is remarkable. And also, a couple of years ago, I believe there was a female islander, as they're called, who went in the show, and she was I think she was Miss Great Britain. I think she either had sex or had some sort of sexual relations on the show, and then she got stripped of her Miss Great Britain title. So I think they're trying to tone it down and get a bigger audience and make sure bad stuff doesn't happen. So this season, I only have watched bits and pieces. There is a breakout star in the show.
Okay.
And her name's Maura.
Is she joking? I couldn't give a shite.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, when she entered the show, she really caught traction because she was sitting there, like, having, like, a one-on-one dinner with one of the other girls, and all the guys were, like, watching from afar. It was really leery and creepy.
Yep.
And she was talking about a guy, I think, called Tommy, and she said about Tommy, oh, I really like Tommy. He's giving me the fanny flutters.
My God, they look so fit.
They look better in real life.
My God, like I am having fanny flutters. I'm not even joking.
2 months ago, I met Maura.
Oh, wow.
I had lunch with Maura.
Did you? Why?
I can't go into specific details,
Okay.
but it was at a friend's lunch, and Maura was there. And obviously, this is before the show started. Now, bearing in mind, right now, Maura has been the breakout star. She didn't win the show, but she's fine. She's got a job hosting something in This Morning in the UK, which is basically like Good Morning America. She's like the breakout star, Digital Spy, one of the media websites, wrote a whole thing like, the only reason we're watching Love Island this year is Maura.
Okay.
When I had lunch with her a couple of months ago, I would never have predicted that.
Really?
Because, so it was me and my friends, and she was there as like someone's girlfriend at the time, and she's a little bit younger, and she just has completely different reference points. So in the same way that, look, if she walked in right now and we were having coffee with her, we are the kind of, even though I'm a Slytherin, we're the kind of people who would make the effort to ask questions and include her.
Yeah, of course.
She felt so out of her comfort zone that she couldn't relate to any of us. Even though I was making an effort asking questions, she just couldn't do it. It was like a robot malfunctioning.
Yeah, she was like, I can't understand a word anyone's saying.
Anyone say, I've no, like, yeah, it was so interesting. We even played like a game of, not Taboo, but like one of those word games. It was so upsetting to watch, but she couldn't do it. It was like a game where you had to rhyme things. So it was like, I'm holding up my glass, okay, but you can't say the word glass. You have to say something that rhymes with glass. So you're like, mast, but she didn't get the game. Exactly. So it was baffling. And then fast forward 2 months, and like she's this fanny flutter sensation. I'm like, what is going on?
Fanny flutter sensation.
And I'm a TV producer, and I didn't even see it in her.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's one for the producers of the show. Then they got that out of her.
Well done, her. I know you haven't really been watching because it's not trashy enough for you. I will say I struggle with it because it's so heteronormative. Yeah. The whole show is about guys hooking up with girls and girls hooking up. That I just can't relate to it. I watch it and I don't.
It feels like a world that we are very much on the outside of as gay men, especially now gay men living in LA who are friends with majority other gay men. I feel very far away from it. I used to feel a lot closer to it when I lived in the UK because I had my circle of friends was a lot more like female. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe I felt just a bit more like in touch with it. But I do feel like out here I couldn't be further from it. Yeah, it's like an alien world to me now.
So that is Love Island. Is there anything else you want to bring up or mention or reference in it? Oh, actually, there's one thing I want to talk about very quickly is, do you know that they all have their, it's very clever because when you watch the show, it's basically like watching it's like scrolling through the ASOS website because before they go in, I think what they do is they are all like styled by like trashy boohoo companies, whatever they're called, Pretty Miss Thing or whatever they're called. Or what's the one?
You fused maybe 5 of them together.
They're all the same thing. So I'll just like
you're fusing together boohoo.com, prettylittlething.com, and what's that other one? Hang on, I need to stop because it's gonna annoy me if I can't remember.
And there's Fashion Nova over here.
Yeah,
it's all like those fast fashion websites where like everything's made out of plastic and shipped from China.
My friend Lydia calls boohoo.com see-through.com because everything's sheer.
sheer.
I know, I really had to get my mouth around the word
But it's really clever because when you watch the episode, you can, while watching it, you can shop the episode. So say Frazer comes out and he's wearing a tank top, you're like, oh, I like that. You go on the website and you buy it.
On boohoomen.com.
Oh, nice. And I think everything's like been tailored to them as well, even though it's like cheap, shitty plastic. Everything's been, so it looks amazing on them. One big advert. So yeah.
I think personally, another part of the popularity of the show is that in the UK traditionally, for your summer holidays, you and your family would pop over to Mallorca, Menorca, Tenerife, all those kind of Balearic Islands, Spanish islands, all of those places, and you'd have your week away with your family. You'd stay at the hotel. You'd have to get down there early to put your towel on the sun lounger to claim your spot. There's games. You get your food. There's like a holiday romance. I think it feeds into everyone's like nostalgia for their own like family vacations or like teenage. There's actually also a real tradition of going away when you're a teenager to those islands and getting as drunk as you possibly can.
Totally.
And I think it totally taps into that whole thing, but it's like the most attractive version of that rather than the real life version.
And it's all about hooking up.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you're right. It's like the best, most attractive, extreme version of that. So the US equivalent of Love Island. Now, there is a US Love Island at the moment, but I think I want to go somewhere different. I think the US equivalent of Love Island, quite specifically, is Bachelor in Paradise.
Yep, you've got it. I was going to try and say it at the exact same time as you, and I got scared.
In the same way that, like, The Bachelor feels like a sort of network primetime thing. Bachelor in Paradise is just cheekier, sillier, more fun.
Yes. I couldn't agree with you more. I've actually never seen a frame of Bachelor in Paradise, but I know exactly what it is.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we're very pleased with ourselves.
I know. I'm smug as a bug in a rug right now.
So that's it. The US equivalent of Love Island is Bachelor in Paradise. You're welcome.
You're welcome. And we're back, and we're going to play our usual game at the end of the show, which is Welcome Not Welcome, which is where we mention British or American topics, and we say whether they're welcome or not welcome, aka whether we like them or don't like them.
There is some rustling in the background from third podcast host Jesse. He's just packing our bags for us to go to the beach this afternoon.
There's nothing wrong with that little rustle in the background, little Russell Brand.
Little pop. Okay, I'm going to go first. Welcome or not welcome, a chalk ice.
Oh. I would actually say not welcome because chalk ice is a UK thing, which is a kind of a square of vanilla ice cream with chocolate around it.
It's always cheap.
But since I've moved here, they do those ice cream sandwiches. There are a lot more. That's their version of a chalk ice. It's like an ice cream sandwich, which is like ice cream between two cookies.
Oh yeah. So it's a bit thicker, and meatier.
A bit meatier, a bit more bad for you. So I would say chalk ice is not welcome.
I'm going to say they're welcome.
Okay, so my welcome or not welcome topic actually comes from Michael, who mentioned this to me, our friend Michael, American Michael. He said, so welcome or not welcome, British people saying, I'm going to hospital. Because in America, if you say, oh, she's in hospital, I'm going to go to hospital, oh, I had to go to hospital, oh yeah, he's gone to hospital. To them, that sounds insane. They say going to the hospital. They would never... They always have to add the word "the" in. It makes no sense to them.
I've never thought about this.
And Michael said it's like jarring for American people to hear British people saying it. Isn't that weird?
But wait, I thought you were meaning like I'm going to hospital.
No,
because that's like another thing, like T apostrophe.
Yeah, not like a Yorkshire accent.
Yeah. Wait, I'm going to hospital. Okay, so wait. What's the welcome, not welcome?
I'm not sure. Who cares? Let's move on.
Pass. Okay, welcome or not welcome. Receipts from CVS.
Not welcome. Receipts from CVS is a real like 90s. This is like a 2000 stand-up joke. Those receipts at CVS longer than my arm.
No. So CVS, which is like the UK equivalent of Boots, or the US equivalent of Boots. Okay, Boots is a classic example because you have like your rewards card. Everything goes in that, whatever. I think we've talked about that before.
We have talked about the Boots Advantage card.
Forever. Love it. Miss it. I wonder if it still works when I go back. Maybe get that meal deal. But CVS is like a pharmacy, and then when you buy something, the receipt at the end is like a mile long, and it has all these coupons on it. I just chuck it away. I can't deal with it. I can't deal with those coupons. And the thing that, in general, I feel like in the US, paper, as you mentioned with checks, you saw me earlier dealing with my checks and my builder.
Did. Literally saw Ben leafing through a checkbook.
1982. Also, how appropriate is that my builder, his name is Ronnie? Ronnie!
Also, pretty sure Ronnie said that his dad's name was Aladdin. Wild.
So yeah, the receipts from CVS are a mile long, and it's just paper, and it freaks me out. Not welcome.
Not welcome. Okay, my welcome. You're gonna like this one. Welcome or not welcome? Wagamamas.
Waggers.
Wagamamas is this very strange, like Japanese, very faux Japanese kind of chain restaurant in the UK. There's one in every single town, and it's like it's very unauthentic Japanese food, as proven when we took our friend Atsuko, our Japanese friend Atsuko, there for dinner, and she said, I asked her how authentic the menu was. She said, "This is literally nonsense." She said, "None of this makes any sense. This isn't Japanese food." But Wagamamas to me is very when you're working late in TV in the UK, and they like, we're going to order in food, you're working late. You got your big three. You got your Nando's, you got your Wagamamas, and you got your Pizza Express. And those three restaurants, I cannot abide any of them because I've eaten them all at like 10:30 at night in an office complex in London, being like, I want to go home.
The thing is with the Waggers is I completely agree, but it is kind of like a hug on production.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That kind of, there's this like coconut noodle soup thing that even the smell of it makes me think of like, at least the camaraderie of staying late with a group of people and being like, we're going to get this done.
Exactly. And also the Waggers has arrived, so we can't be here that much longer.
Very, very TV specific, that one. Oh well, who cares?
Welcome or not welcome?
Welcome. I missed it.
I was playing Taboo last night with a crowd of Americans, and the phrase pinch a loaf came up. What do you think that phrase means?
What?
Pinch a loaf. To pinch a loaf.
To steal a loaf of bread?
It's to fart.
What?
I know.
I've heard of cut the cheese as a weird American term for farting, and I learned that from an episode of Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Pinch a loaf. And also, does pinch a loaf sounds like it should be a British phrase?
Yeah, that's what I thought you would give me like one of your crazy Scottish like idioms. I was like, oh,
pinch a loaf.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, he pinched a loaf. How's my Scottish accent?
Jesse, is the American rustling around in the background? What have you got to say on this?
Pinching a loaf isn't farting.
Oh wait, what is it?
It's like taking a shit.
Oh,
okay.
To pinch a loaf.
According to Jesse, it's actually taking a shit.
But either or, still doesn't make sense.
No, it does. Oh, gross! I've just realised what that means. Then. Oh.
What? Why?
Do you really want me to go into the forensic detail of it?
I'm
that hand movement you keep doing is exactly what it is.
Pinch a loaf.
The loaf's your shit, and the pinch is your asshole pinching it off.
But why is a shit called a loaf?
I don't know. It's more of a baguette. Like a mini baguette, more, isn't it?
So we're going to change it to pinch a mini baguette.
Yeah.
That's welcome.
Yeah, there we go. Pinch a mini baguette. Welcome.
All right, what's your final one? Welcome or not welcome?
Okay, my final welcome or not welcome. Taco Tuesday.
Oh, welcome.
Welcome. I did not know it was a thing till I moved here.
Oh, yeah.
And people talk about it like it's Wednesday. The word Wednesday. They're like, oh, Taco Tuesday. Well, they do Taco Tuesday. Oh, yeah. Do you know? Because that place does a Taco Tuesday.
Love Taco Tuesday. And also, it's just basically like cheaper tacos on a Tuesday. The thing that blows every British person's mind when they come here is like, a taco, is that like a crunchy hard thing? I'm like, no. This is a soft shell taco we're dealing with in this situation.
Yeah, we're not getting one of those old El Paso, an old El Paso meal kit.
Like a taco kit with that like dusty powdery sauce.
Exactly. We're not frying up some mince in a pan with that dusty sauce. Put it in a crackly old El Paso shell.
Basically, all I ate in the 90s growing up was an old El Paso
fajita kit.
Fajita kit. Loved it.
I know this. I'm gonna probably cut this. Every time we talk about fajitas, I think of that scene from the Saturday's reality show where the big finale was them having fajitas in the conservatory at Frankie's
Conservatory.
We're gonna get into that very heavily on the Saturday special.
So, the Taco Tuesday welcome. I think that's it. We're going to the beach.
Yeah, we're off to the beach now in Ben's Jeep. We've really lost our minds and become very different people.
But do remember, don't think that we're living the high life, because I do have that mouse/rat in my kitchen somewhere shitting away. So
he's pinched out a loaf on your cooker.
There we are. This has been You're Welcome America. Get in touch on Instagram at You Are Welcome America, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. You're welcome.
You're so far up your ass, I think you can smell your own shit!
Where are you from, Josie?
South Shields.
I thought.
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
But let me be clear.
I enjoy cooking bacon and stuff, working with flour.